Up, guys? The Bench Buddies are back with our MLB power rankings for week 5. We didn't do one last week, couldn't find a time to do it, but we're back this week, updated, and we're going to jump into it here. But you will see our winner for the giveaway will be posted down below. It's username, or you might see it in the video right here this time. So make sure you guys are tuned in, and if you do that, contact us, and then we'll put all that good stuff there down below. But at 30, Ethan, take it away.
All right. Well, at 30, we have the worst team in baseball. They started out 3-21, and they did get 2 wins recently, but it's basically a AAA roster on the MLB. So I'm really sorry to the Reds fans out there. I know I got a few buddies that are Reds fans. It's just not a good roster right now, and they're gonna be lucky if they win 40 games this year, in my opinion.
And then at 29, we got my Tigers. Very sad to talk about them being this low. Didn't think it was going to be possible this year. But they have the injury bug that's hit them. I mean, Mize is still out. Manning's still out. Riley Green's out. I mean, the bullpen's finally getting healthy. But speaking of that bullpen, they're the whole reason this Tigers team has 8 wins right now. Surprisingly, they've been the best bullpen in baseball this year. And that's something the Tigers never would ever do in a million years. So you got to give them credit. They're getting good guys and getting the most out of them. But when hitting wakes up, I think this is going to be a very scary team. As you can see there, it's Meadows and Baez that are carrying this team. Even Miggy, honestly, he's hitting right around 300. And, he's having a good year, good career bounce back year for the last 2-3 years. But, this team at the All-Star break, they got to shoot for around 500. If they're around 500 at the All-Star break, I think, that's really when they can start making some noise and making that late season push, because other than the Twins, they've only been really the team that stood out in the AL Central. And, with that extra playoff spot this year, who knows?
At 28, we have the Kansas City Royals, just slightly a better start than the Detroit Tigers. They are a bottom 5 team in almost every stat, which is not good at all. But the one bright spot has been Andrew Benintendi. He's finally turning out to be the player that the Red Sox thought they were going to get out of him. And turns out to be a pretty good trade for the Royals. They just got to get some help. Bobby Witt Jr.'s heating up a little bit. So a bright future for the Royals, but just right now is not the time.
27th, we got the Washington Nationals. Josh Bell has been absolutely slaying the ball. I mean, 343 average of 21 RBIs. Juan Soto, he's been Juan Soto, obviously hitting home runs, getting on base a lot. His average is down, but that's because, he's not getting as many chances. People are walking him more. But they're bottom 3 in all pitching, and that's what's going to hold this team back. Josiah Gray, he's been pretty good. He needs to turn the corner. And really, that Dodgers trade could pan out for him, if he becomes a better prospect. But right now, the Nats, they'll be lucky if they get like 5,000 in the seats.
At 26, another team that are going to be lucky if they get 5,000 in the seats are the Baltimore Orioles. Just not a lot of fans in Baltimore. Cedric Mullins off to a slow start. He did make a very nice diving catch today, if you guys didn't see that, against the Royals, actually. But 4-8 against the AL East, that's kind of expected with their division. We talked about that. Their division's absolutely loaded, and they're in a rebuilding roster. I'm just really excited to see when Adley Rutschman can make his debut, because he could be a game changer at that level.
25th, we got the team that will be lucky to have 1,000 people in attendance for a game. In the Oakland A's, 9 straight losses. ERA, though, is at 4. And, of course, they're playing my Tigers tonight, so that 9 straight losses are probably going to snap that. They're 25th. They got some promise with Sean Murphy, finally bringing him up. I think he's looked pretty good so far. But, other than that, I really couldn't name you, 2 other guys that are on this team because they traded away their whole team last year. So, but, hey, maybe they'll get over 2,000 fans consistently this year.
Maybe. At 24, we have the Texas Rangers, and one of the highest paid on the payroll is Marcus Semien and Corey Seager, and they're off to a slow start. They're going to get back, and they're going to be hitting baseballs really hard come June, July. But that's a lot of money to be sitting down at 4th in their division. And then with a very tough division, it might be a big hole with all that money spent on 2 players. And that's what's going to hurt them.
At 23, we got the Pittsburgh Pirates. Brian Hayes has pretty much been the lone star, bright spot for this team. It's early, but I think the Pirates are performing way better than people thought they would, and I think it's only going to be a downfall from here. That NL Central is pretty weak this year. I mean, the Reds are terrible, Pirates are terrible, Cubs aren't even better. And then who's left? Doesn't matter.
Brewers and Cardinals are.
Doesn't matter because those two are playoff teams. So unfortunately, the Brewers and Cardinals are going to have a very easy path unless the injury bug hits them. But the Pirates, they're already looking forward to next year.
And the surprising Arizona Diamondbacks with a 15-14 record. They won 7 of their last 9 games, surprising a few of the better teams in the league. Their pitching has been really great with Zach Gallen. He's one of those guys that's just going to go out there and pitch. And no matter, he's going to give you 6 innings or 6 plus every time he goes out there. That whole pitching staff has looked a lot better, but hasn't every team staff looked better with the juice balls. Now, but still a very solid start. I wasn't expecting them going to be 15-14, especially in that tough NL West. So it's a good start.
21st, we got those Cubs. Stroman's on the IL, meaning the rotation is just going to get even worse than it already is. And hitting is holding them back essentially because, the rotation has been decent, but it's not been, what everyone wants it to be. But, it's just tough with these Cubs. No one had any expectations. I mean, they're still filling seats, just like they always are with probably the most loyal fan base in all of MLB. And I think that's the only thing that's riding for him is just getting everybody in the game.
And getting into our top 20, the Boston Red Sox, 5-11 against the AL East, which is not a good start at all. They're going to need to pick those games up. They're going to need to get a few sweeps down the road against New York and Toronto. But one of their bright spots, Xander Bogaerts, he's been going off. He's on my fantasy team. He can just hit all the time. And same with Devers. He's always going to be a star. But other than those two guys, the whole Red Sox lineup is hitting under 200, and Trevor Story is hitting he's hitting like $160 right now. So it's not looking like the money. It doesn't look like Trevor Story's worth the money, but we'll see. I think he'll heat up. But they're going to need to win some games starting here soon to be in the race still.
At 19, we got the Phillies, a team that is dependent on their big bats, Castellanos, Harper, Schwarber. I mean, even Rhys Hoskins, you throw him in that category. And once they all wake up, I mean, you're not going to want to face them, 4 or 5 hitters in a row. I mean, even Didi, he just got put on the IL, but when he gets back, I mean, he's a veteran bat. You don't want to face if you're a righty. But this Phillies team, I think pitching is going to hold them back. Zach Wheeler's great. Aaron Nola's great. Kyle Gibson's okay. But those 2 games where they're not really getting, the most out of their pitching that's what's going to hurt them, using their bullpen in those games a lot. They lost a lot of bullpen help as well. Didn't bring too much in. And I think in the long run, that's what's going to be the Phillies' downfall.
And in number 18, we got the Cleveland Guardians, right around 500, slightly better than the Royals and the Tigers. I think they're going to be at 3rd place for most of the year this year, just not as good as the Twins or White Sox. But Jose Ramirez could be an MVP candidate as well. Shane Bieber back to a really solid start off his injury last year. And Stephen Kwan, he puts the bat on the ball with the best of them, but other than Jose Ramirez and Shane Bieber, there's not a lot to write home about with the Cleveland Guardians. So they're going to be stuck here at 18.
17, we get the Miami Marlins. The only good thing for them in this last week is Jazz Chisholm absolutely being on a tear. They do play hard as a young team. They're very young, one of the youngest teams in the MLB, and they make every game competitive, fun to watch. A lot of people don't like Jazz at first because he was super cocky and, but now that's just kind of the way baseball's going. The superstar, swag kind of guys, and Jazz fits that to the bill. And it's always fun to watch him play. But, losing 7 out of their last 8 after getting off to that very hot start. What were they? Before that, they were 12-7, if my math's correct there.
Around.
So, It's the NL East. Last year we saw the Braves, not even reach 90 wins and win the World Series. And I think it's going to be kind of the same. All these teams are going to beat up on each other just because they're all right there and super competitive. And as of right now, I do still like the Marlins to be a sleeper pick to make it into the playoffs this year.
And at 16, we got another sleeper playoff team with the Seattle Mariners. JP Crawford and Ty France are really picking it up on the offensive side. JP's hitting around 350. Ty France just went on a crazy home run tear. But their pitching is key. They're going to need Robbie Ray to really pitch and be that game one type of guy. J-Rod's show is always fun to watch. I think he's going to be up there for Rookie of the Year, especially when he gets hot with that blazing speed. But Mariners are a scary team. Once Jesse Winker gets going, this is a solid team that can really compete in that AL West and at least spoil some teams like the Angels or the Astros.
At 15 here, when it loads, and at 15, we get the Atlanta Braves. Middle of the pack so far, but their pitching has been very surprisingly good. I think that's kind of the big thing that a lot of people are, looking at through the first 30. Acuna's back. I mean, obviously he's already hitting home runs on one knee again and doing his thing.
That was crazy.
And I just think this Braves team, don't let them get hot. I think the Matt Olson trade is really going to work out for them. It's just like Freddie Freeman, just, barely off-brand Freddie Freeman. And, it's a great acquisition. He's going to, be the guy for him, that power spot. And I think this Braves team, could make another magical run. I said about the Marlins, who knows about this NL East? There could be 2-3 teams that make it, or it could just be one because they're beating up on each other so bad.
And at 14, we got my Chicago White Sox. Very happy to say that they've won 6 straight, and they've been playing a little bit better. Good news, they got Yoan Moncada's coming back from the IL along with Joe Kelly, so that'll help the depth a little bit in the bullpen. Really need that. Dylan Cease is going crazy so far with the 2.38 ERA and 47 strikeouts. He always shown that upside, but he's finally just being more consistent, which is what the Sox need. Matt Foster has became a very solid 8th inning guy before Liam Hendricks, so got to be happy about that. And this is going to be a really heated division race going down to it. I can predict it. It's going to be the Sox and the Twins. It could be going down to game 162. But who knows?
This is gonna be on freezing cold takes. That one when the Tigers come storming back, man. You're gonna be on blast right there. But at 13, speaking of blast, we got the Colorado Rockies, who somehow, some way, they're under their normal home run rates in Coors Field. You can thank the dead ball. Shout out MLB, Manfred, fix that. But this team somehow is playing better without that advantage. They're 16-12 this year, best team average in the league. But, you look at that pitching right there, 26th in the league with the highest ERA. All right, maybe Coors Field does have its advantages still. But somehow, some way, this Rockies team is playing some good baseball. Just essentially when they could have traded Trevor Story away last, July, just decided to keep him and then he walks. Get nothing for him. But, hey, maybe they know something that the Red Sox didn't.
At number 12, we got the Minnesota Twins, who I was just talking about a little bit. Byron Buxton, top 5 player when healthy. I'm buying that take. Unfortunately, though, he just has like a lower grade hamstring or something like that. So he'll be out for a couple days, but he's still a stud. Correa is struggling. Hopefully he gets heating up a little bit. But, I mean, most of his home runs were to left in that short porch in Houston. So it makes sense why his average and home runs are down. But I'm not hating on the guy. I think he's going to be a good player for Minnesota. Minnesota's off to a really good start, and they're obviously looking to win this division. And they're in first place right now. So
11th, we got the Houston Astros. They won 7 in a row, but 4 of those wins were against my Tigers, so it's really not that impressive. But Verlander's back. He's under 2 ERA, putting up Cy Young numbers so far. But that team average right there, that's a little bit concerning. 17. Definitely, I thought they would be at least 240, 250 with all the good bats, veteran bats they got in their lineup. Slow start, but they're still 7 games above 500. Definitely not a good sign for that AL West if they're not hitting as, good as they can. and they're still playing this good.
And here we go with the Padres at 19-10, a very solid start, still coming into our top 10. They're really excited to get Tatis back. That's going to be great for baseball, seeing this guy play every day again. He's one of the best players in baseball, top 5 for sure. At the bottom of the order, guys are playing great. Finally, Eric Hosmer has been playing well, and Jerickson Profar as well. A lot of those guys, like Eric Hosmer, they gave a lot of money to, and they're finally showing it. So it's good for the Padres. And CJ Abrams is a dog too. So
at 9, we got the St. Louis Cardinals. Miles Mikolas has been absolutely excellent this year for the team. And even Wainwright, he's on the COVID list right now, but he's been playing really good as well. But Nolan Arenado, could this be the year he finally receives an MVP? He's playing really good so far. I mean, look at those stats: 330, 7 home runs, 24 RBIs. I mean, he's almost getting at least 1 RBI a game and a home run almost every series as well. So right now he's a guy you don't want to pitch to. Let's just say that. But when you have Goldschmidt behind him, you got to pitch to one of those two. So they're helping each other out with the average home runs, all the stats. But this Cardinals team, it's going to be a race to see who can win this division this year. Last year there was a gap between the Brewers and the Cardinals, but this year I think the Cardinals have closed the gap, and the Brewers, helped them by letting a few guys walk. But definitely going to be an interesting race for the rest of the season.
At number 8, we have the San Francisco Giants. Now they are 3-7 in their last 10. Had a rough week last week, but they are still 16-12 and one of the better teams in baseball. So gotta give them in their top 10. Carlos Rodon is a stud lefty coming from the Chicago White Sox. Brandon Crawford getting old, I guess. I mean, he's kind of back to his 2 years ago and beyond that stat line, but last year he had a great year. Hopefully he heats it up. They're going to need him to. Mike Yastrzemski, all their guys, they can just hit and they just play baseball and win games, really, in San Francisco.
At 7, we got the Toronto Blue Jays making a slight dip. Vladdy, putting up solid numbers yet again. And Alek Manoah, I think, is going to be the big ace this year for the Blue Jays. Bringing in Berrios last year, he was excellent. But Manoah, is slowly becoming a star. And still not enough people are talking about that. And by the end of the year, I think we're really going to realize that he's a top 5 pitcher in this game. In my preseason top 100, I didn't put it in the list. But originally I had him in the top 100 just because of that potential and what he showed. And right now we're seeing it this year.
At number 6, we have the Tampa Bay Rays. Wander Franco has been everything the Rays have been asking for. He's going off, playing great defense, just an all-around 5-tool player. And he could win the MVP. But another cool stat is that they're top 10 in hitting and pitching, which they're also, I saw a stat today that they have the most innings from their relievers this year. And out of all the 10 teams that were in the top 10, they're the only team that were like solid and above 500. So that says a lot for the Tampa Bay Rays bullpen and their coaching, all that. They produce relievers every year. It seems like they have one of the best bullpens. So that's really going to help them coming down the stretch.
And at 5, we have the Los Angeles Angels. They are top 10 in hitting and pitching as well. And that's why they're so successful this year. They're finally putting it together, at least through these first 30 games. They're not relying on Trout and Ohtani, Taylor Ward, Brandon Marsh, just to name a few guys that are playing well. And the staff, I think the pitching staff is what's going to go underrated on this team. Patrick Sandoval and bringing in Noah Syndergaard, which I absolutely love that move. It's probably going to be one of the best moves of the offseason. If he stays healthy, the Angels found a diamond in the rough with that one. And, he's putting up those numbers where he was a solid starting pitcher, his first few years with the Mets. If he keeps doing that, I mean, this Angels team might even win the AL West. Who knows?
And at 4, we got the Milwaukee Brewers. I do agree. The Cardinals really closed the gap with from Milwaukee. McCutchen is hitting 255, and he's their best hitter right now, except for, the man Rowdy Tellez. He's been going off lately. Just a stupid amount of power and RBI ability from the left side. But their pitching is what's going to win them games, and that easy schedule is going to help a lot. And I don't expect them to drop a lot much this year because, like you said, they have the Reds 20 times this year and the Pirates. So that should be an easy, 30 wins. at least.
Yeah, I agree. And with the third ranked team, we got the New York Mets just dropping one. But that's due to one of those teams that you're going to see next year. Can this team live up to the expectations? I think that's going to be in our slide every week, just because we know what the Mets can do. Instant collapse. We've seen it so many times. But somehow I think this team plays better without DeGrom, like at least this year. When he plays last year, it seems like they can't get him support. He has to do everything himself. And then when he gets hurt, they play a little better. But now they have more pieces to play better, not rely on his pitching and even hitting last year in that team. But the biggest storyline is Francisco Lindor having a huge bounce back year. Love to see it for the game of baseball. I'm sure when we see a Subway Series this year, the first Subway Series, it's going to be a great series. And that's what's leading us to the second ranked team.
And that is the New York Yankees. Well, obviously the Yankees fans suck. That's pretty obvious. Nestor Cortez, before we even talk, we didn't even put this into today, but he threw 8 innings, 8 1/3 with no-hit baseball against the Texas Rangers today at Yankee Stadium. So that's pretty tough to do. And he's a star in the making. Judge has been getting a little bit better recently, but Joey Gallo has not figured it out yet in New York. So they might trade him off. I could see them shipping him off at the deadline if he doesn't start producing. But overall, one of the best teams in the league, and they're gonna play the AL East really tough throughout the whole year.
That one, of course, we got Los Angeles Dodgers. Belly, I mean, shout out to Sippy for this one. He's looking pretty good this year. Still the most overrated player in the game of baseball, in my opinion. But Clayton Kershaw, re-signing with the Dodgers, it was late, after that lockout. No one knew where he was going to go. But, of course, he goes back to all reliable. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. And it's not even close to broke. He's playing, really well, looking like he's going to have another career year. And this is the number 1 team in pitching and top 5 in hitting. And how do you stop that? Well, you don't, because 6, 7 of their hitters are all all-stars. Could be all-stars. Could be the 3 or 4 hole hitter on a lot of teams. Yep. I mean, Trey Turner, Justin Turner, even Freddie Freeman. I mean, Mookie Betts. Like, those are just a few guys to name, and there's still a whole list of guys. I mean, Chris Taylor, he doesn't even start every game, and he could be a star. He could be the 2-hole hitter on a lot of teams. But this Dodgers team, I mean, don't be shocked if they win over 100 games. The NL West is a little more competitive this year. But, I mean, it's the Dodgers. How do you compete with the Dodgers? They're the team that everyone needs to beat. I'm still surprised somehow that they didn't win it last year, too. Mm-hmm. But, at 1, we got the Dodgers.
Yeah, so thanks for watching this video all the way through. If you did, subscribe to our channel. Make sure to leave a like. And Quinny, we talking about the subscriber giveaway. Sorry, my
brain. Yep. Make sure he or she checks down below. That's where it will be. The item. We will talk to them in the item, and then we'll send it their way. If they don't claim it, then I guess we'll give it away for the 500 subscribers. So it'll be an even bigger giveaway.
Yeah.
But I think that's going to be it for the video.
Yeah. So again, if you enjoyed it, leave a like. But the bench buddies are out. So peace.
Peace.
She never called back.